And welcome back to the Rush Hour. Before the break, we shared with you the story of a young woman who's struggling to find safe housing while in the care of ACS with her 3-year-old child. She has a baby on the way. Jasmine Finley Rodriguez's story is just one among hundreds of young adults who are aging out of foster care every year with few options. Research from the National Institutes of Health shows that more than 30% of transition-aged foster youth experienced homelessness at least once before turning 26. Another third of them are forced to stay in the city's care longer because they cannot find an affordable place to live. A coalition of policymakers, service providers, and nonprofits is now looking to change this. They've released a report that did so yesterday with a proposal to create 800 homes for foster youth in the next 5 years. Joining me now to talk more about this is Tracy Jenkins. She's the executive director of the Center for Fair Futures, as well as Jeremy Kohomban. He is the president and the CEO of the Children's Village. I want to thank you both so much for coming on. Why don't we start with this report, because it's really comprehensive. What are the key findings and key surprises that came out of this report, Tracy?
Well, first, thank you, Annika, for having us so much. First, we launched this report because we know that there is a need that is urgent and solvable. And despite the investment that people put into this for decades, the problem has not been solved. In New York City, we still face homelessness and housing instability with hundreds and hundreds of young people who are exiting foster care. So we wanted to make sure that through a youth-led movement, we laid out a clear, actionable, and solvable plan to solve this problem.
Tell me a little about that, Jeremy, in the work of the Children's Village and how you see this plan turning from a report into an actual actionable, tangible housing proposal where children can actually move to.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for this opportunity. We have the advantage of coming to this as developers. We have built buildings. We create homes for young people. We wanted this report to raise consciousness. Look, we know foster care is needed, right? The people that say it should be abolished are not thinking this thing through. We have thousands of amazing New Yorkers that work in this system, but despite all our best efforts, we have hundreds of children aging out, all remaining in this very expensive impersonal system because we don't have homes. And what these young people are asking us is not just to be given an apartment anywhere, but after spending $1 million or more on them, to give them a home where they are safe and integrated. This idea of location, so that they can be safe.
Yeah, and how do you find that location in New York that is already struggling with a massive housing crunch?
Our plan is to incentivize building of integrated spaces like the ones we have invested in, so that young people can move and live amongst us, rather than just being sent to places like the young lady you spoke to, that are almost unlivable.
Yeah. And
to do it after spending over $1 million on these children, right? By the time a child gets to transition age, we've spent a ton of money on them already.
And so where is the resistance? Why can't this plan become reality? What are the roadblocks that you face in executing it? I know the report just came out, but what can you do to get it to actually become a reality is, I think, the question, Tracy.
So what we want to do is we want to make sure that youth are placed in housing that is not isolated, that is unsafe, and that's poor quality. That's what we're seeing that they are going right now. And often in the neighborhoods that they are in, there's a lot of redlining, there's a lot of bureaucracy, and there's a lot of disinvestment and disenfranchisement. They face rodent infestations.
Yeah, that's exactly what we just saw.
What the young lady just spoke about. They face unlivable conditions, and they face landlord discrimination. So we want to make sure, and what the report states is that we want to make sure that the current system prioritizes quality over availability, and it flips the script of what is seen out there where they are prioritizing availability over that quality housing.
And so is this a joint city-state private partnership? How does this get funded?
Absolutely. It is a joint city-state private philanthropy and mission-oriented organizations, developers that will rise up and say, let's not build all our affordable housing in the most burdened segregated communities anymore and tell these young, amazing young people, right, that can be like you and me with just a little bit more support, that they don't have to be relegated to that place that's unsafe, and let them live in places where we would want to live.
Well, what's so sad, in part, about these young people is that they were supposed to be rescued from a dangerous situation.
Right.
And in many circumstances, they leave a dangerous situation and are re-traumatized because it becomes much more dangerous, as we just heard from Jasmine in my story, sleeping on trains and so forth.
Right.
How do you prevent and help them, I guess, is the main question. And where's the incentive? Because they don't have a lot of political clout.
They don't, but we do, as New Yorkers. Look, the most predictable indicator of second-generation success in the United States is where you live and where your children go to school. Our young people deserve the same.
We really appreciate your coming on to speak with us about this report. Tracy Jenkins, the Executive Director of the Center for Fair Futures, and Jeremy Kohomban, the President and CEO of the Children's Village. Please keep us posted on all developments.